Everyone. So today we're going to talk about marketing metrics, especially the metrics called the great or worst metrics. So, so this is the author, myself, Shanmugavel Rajeevan. So now the proposed framework is designed to evaluate how a particular activity or incident influences the market response. So it is presented in a 2 by 2 matrix. So which is shown in the figure 1. So figure 1 is all the way down here. So this is just an interesting matrices. So what does this matrix mean is that we have y-axis and x-axis. In the x-axis we have an activity or an incident, and on the y-axis we have market response. So simply what do we mean here is that an activity can be a good or a bad thing. At the same time, the market response can be great or worse. So for example, let's assume a good thing that happened. Okay, it can be a product launch, or it can be a service, or it can be an advertisement campaign, or whatever it is. So if it's a good, let's say if it's a good product or good launch, and it has went actually as anticipated, and the market response is great, meaning you're doing great, encourage the activity and promote it, you're doing great. But at the same time, you launch the product, or you initiate the marketing campaign, but it becomes worse, then it becomes a nightmare. So you have to diversify to a different approach. Your marketing campaign has to be changed, and the expectation is not met. So the consumers and the market as a whole will act separately. So what you have to do is you have to diversify. And at the same time, let's assume that something bad happened, right? It can be either intentional or unintentional. It doesn't matter. If something bad happened to your company, okay? Let's say a theft or something really bad happened, okay? But the market responses, or the market or the consumers react by promoting it. For example, if you take one of those incident is that Kit Kat, the recent Kit Kat theft. It's a bad incident for the company, but it got so much positive response from the market, it became a great marketing strategy. So analyze this innovation and promote it, right? That's what you had to do, and it's a miracle, right? Something bad happened, but in terms it became great. Okay. Now, what is the last quadrant, or the quadrant on the bottom? Is that a bad thing? Something bad happened, right? It can be either intentional or unintentional. Like even you launch a market product, or if you launch a bad negative promotion, right? A negative trending about your company, and it goes into misfortune because the market response is worse, right? It went negative trending, and it didn't bring you any good fortune. So that is known as misfortune. And what you have to do is you have to divert to a new approach, find something and introduce something new. So this is called the great or worst matrix. Okay, so simple as that. And it's simple study where the x-axis represent the good things and the bad things, while the x-axis depicts the market responses as worse and great, right? So this market response, it can be like consumer, and it can be social media, it can be anything that related to consumer behavior, right? How do they behave towards your company, or towards your marketing or research or marketing services? Okay, how do they react? Okay, the proposed tool is to understand the prevailing situation and execute strategies for marketing and branding of an organization. Simple as that. This is not a complicated matrices. It's a simple table, right? But it just identifies a good thing or a bad thing, right? It can be anything, right? Intentional or unintentional. See, activity or an incident can be either intentional, such as a product launch or advertisement campaign, or unintentional activity, such as a disaster to an organization. Market response is how consumers and the market as a whole responds to that particular activity. So this is just a small video to show you how things, how this great or worst metrics behaves. That's all, folks. Thank you for watching.